Markle, and I love it because I love more of these networks and comedy shows calling out Meghan for the B word that she is, because I genuinely believe this. Sweet. I love it. I love it. Now, yeah, because that's what she does. She's been giving the middle finger to the royal family forever, and to see Saturday Night Live, NBC, just calling it for what it is, I love it. I think this is...
Meghan Markle, the self-styled Duchess of Sussex, is riding high on the launch of her latest venture, a glossy new political podcast meant to cement her as a serious global voice. She's all smiles, basking in the glow of curated headlines, envisioning herself as a modern-day Eleanor Roosevelt. But then, in a moment that sends shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond, Saturday Night Live's Colin Jost steps onto the Weekend Update set and delivers a single line that shatters her carefully curated image.
Meghan Markle's characters struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
No, nobody wants these two.
Two of them actually need to sit down quietly with a therapist.
He calls her a mini Brigitte Macron, the Queen of Slap, a biting comparison to France's controversial First Lady. The audience erupts in laughter, but for Meghan, this isn't a joke. It's a public humiliation that leaves her fuming, her Hollywood dreams in tatters, and the internet in a frenzy. Welcome to the scandal that broke the internet, lit up social media, and exposed Meghan's fragile brand for what it truly is: a house of cards waiting to collapse.
Meghan have been brutally roasted on Saturday Night Live.
Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
Trump's new trade deal with the UK is that Harry and
Meghan Markle has been on a mission to redefine herself since stepping back from royal duties in 2020. She's no longer just a duchess, she's a producer, a philanthropist, and now with her new podcast, a self-proclaimed political influencer. The podcast launched just days before the SNL episode promises to tackle global issues with compassion and insight. But critics were already skeptical.
President Trump would accept that deal. He's called Meghan Markle nasty and says he feels sorry for Princeharry because his wife is... It's the one that we all have severe...
Her first episode of her 5-minute monologue on women's empowerment was panned as shallow, filled with buzzwords, but lacking substance. Political insiders in the UK and US whispered that Meghan's ambitions were laughable. She's a royal in exile with no credentials, no policy experience, and a resume that reads more like an influencer's LinkedIn page than a diplomat's CV. Still, Meghan pressed on, convinced she could win over the world with her charm and a carefully curated Instagram aesthetic. That is until Colin Jost took the stage. During SNL's Weekend Update, Jost delivered the line that would echo across to continents. Meghan Markle unveiled a new political podcast this week, because what the world really needs right now is a mini Brigitte Macron with a royal title and no clue how actual politics work. The studio audience roared with laughter, but the jab was anything but harmless. Brigitte Macron France's First Lady is a polarizing figure admired by some for her elegance, but mocked by others for her age gap with President Emmanuel Macron and her perceived elitism. Calling Meghan a mini version wasn't just a comparison, it was a brutal takedown. It implied Meghan was a cheap imitation, less powerful, less credible, and far less respected than the French First Lady. The Queen of Slap line, a reference to rumors of Brigitte's fiery temper, only added fuel to the fire. In one sentence, Jost had exposed the core of Meghan's fragile brand, a wannabe political figure addicted to titles but utterly out of her depth. Meghan's reaction was immediate and explosive. According to insiders at NBC and Netflix, she completely lost it once the episode aired. She reportedly called the sketch xenophobic and misogynistic, accusing SNL of an intentional attempt to delegitimize her ambitions. Her PR team sprang into action, demanding an apology and a retraction from NBC, but the network wasn't having it. Insiders say they're growing tired of Meghan's behind-the-scenes manipulation, her constant attempts to control narratives and silence critics. One producer at NBC was quoted as saying she wants to be treated like a head of state, but she behaves like a cliched influencer. Meghan even blamed her own team for not anticipating the joke, as if SNL should have cleared their script with her first. The entitlement was staggering, the delusion even more so, but the drama didn't stop there. Across the Atlantic, Brigitte Macron herself was reportedly furious at the comparison. According to whispers from the Élysée Palace the morning after the episode aired, Brigitte stormed into her husband's office livid at being associated with Meghan. French media outlets claim she slapped President Macron across the face, shouting, "Do I look like that spoiled American narcissist to you?" The Élysée later denied the slap, but several insiders insist something heated went down behind closed doors. Regardless, Brigitte's team made no effort to embrace the comparison. They quietly distanced her from any Markle-related headlines, a clear signal that the French First Lady wanted nothing to do with Meghan's drama. Even Brigitte Macron, a woman surrounded by her own controversies, was insulted by the association. If that's not a reality check, what is? The fallout was swift and merciless. Within hours of the SNL episode, social media erupted. Hashtags like Minute Brigitte Macron and Meghan Meltdown trended worldwide. From London to Los Angeles, TikTok was flooded with parody clips. Some mocked Meghan's podcast voice, others staged fake royal press conferences where she demanded Brigitte apologize for existing. One viral video even imagined a fake perfume ad called Minnie by Meghan, a satirical jab at her obsession with elite branding and shallow influence. The internet wasn't just laughing, it was dissecting. Polls released in the days following the broadcast showed a devastating drop in Meghan's favorability. A Morning Consult survey found that 63% of American respondents thought the SNL comparison was accurate and funny, while only 19% viewed her as a serious political or diplomatic voice. In the UK, her numbers were even worse. 68% of respondents said they no longer saw her as a credible figure, royal or otherwise. Even left-leaning media outlets, once her staunch defenders, stayed awkwardly silent. The Guardian and The Atlantic, which had previously framed Meghan as a victim of royal racism, offered no support. One journalist put it bluntly, "You can't demand the respect of a stateswoman when your resume reads like a failed influencer's LinkedIn page." Meghan's attempts to spin the narrative backfired spectacularly. Her team tried to frame her as a victim of American misogyny and Eurocentric satire, but even her loyal allies weren't buying it. Vanity Fair, usually sympathetic, rejected the narrative, pointing out that SNL roasts everyone from Joe Biden to Beyoncé. Meghan isn't above mockery, no matter how much she wishes she were. Hollywood's reaction was perhaps the most damning. Insiders say the tone at Netflix, where Meghan has a production deal, has shifted from cautious optimism to outright frustration. One showrunner reportedly refused to take a Zoom call with her after she demanded a revised creative pitch that would portray her as a misunderstood global icon. A-list celebrities like Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, once vocal allies, have remained radio silent. Hollywood is a business, and Meghan is starting to look like a PR liability rather than an asset. One studio exec told Variety anonymously, "If she can't take a harmless SNL joke without erupting, imagine her on a press tour when things get real." That's not a partner, that's a walking, talking HR complaint. And then there's Prince Harry, the man caught in the crossfire of his wife's unraveling. Sources say Harry was deeply embarrassed by Meghan's overreaction, especially as clips of Brigitte Macron's alleged slap went global. Even his old military friends are reportedly distancing themselves, confused as to why he allows Meghan to drag his name through one media circus after another. At this point, Harry's silence isn't noble, it's complicity in the face of public collapse. He's gone from a beloved prince to a punchline's Plusen, all because he can't or won't rein in his wife's delusions. The SNL roast wasn't just a joke, it was a mirror. And what Meghan saw in that reflection wasn't a future stateswoman, it was a caricature. For years, she's pushed the narrative that she's America's answer to Brigitte Macron, poised, intelligent, fashion-forward, destined for political relevance. But the Mini Macron nickname didn't elevate her, it exposed her. In political circles, the term now represents pretension without substance, style with no strategy, and echo without a voice. A senior staffer at the DNC allegedly remarked if she ever thought she'd run for office, this was the end of that fantasy. Even French media couldn't resist the irony. Le Monde wrote comparing Meghan to Brigitte is an insult to the French First Lady. One is educated, diplomatic, and quietly dignified. The other is Meghan Markle. In the aftermath, one thing became devastatingly clear. Meghan is no longer famous for her work, she's famous for being laughed at. Her Netflix show is stalled, her podcast is dead on arrival, and her Archewell Foundation is floundering. She's become what she always feared, a tabloid spectacle with no gravitas. Industry insiders now call her algorithm bait, someone whose only utility is generating clicks through mockery, not admiration. Meanwhile, Brigitte Macron continues her work in global diplomacy, education reform, and charity with zero scandals and zero drama. The contrast is stark. One is working, the other is whining. Colin Jost didn't just tell a joke, he detonated an illusion. What made this roast so devastating wasn't just the mockery, it was how effortlessly it dismantled Meghan's facade. Years of image-building, strategic PR, and stage vulnerability unraveled in less than 10 seconds on live TV. Because Jost didn't roast a character, he roasted the brand. And the public recognized exactly who he was talking about. The SNL skit hit where it hurts. Her obsession with status, her shallow activism, her performative feminism, and her transparent craving for relevance. Unlike her previous scandals, Oprah interviews, Spotify flops, Netflix edits, this time she had no control over the narrative. And if that wasn't enough, the internet turned the wound into wildfire. Mini Macron memes flooded every platform, satirical. Clips mocked her archetypes, her title obsession, and her non-existent charity impact. Even her few remaining celebrity defenders stayed silent.